Yeah, hi everyone. So today, we are going to discuss about the SAP architecture. Okay, yes. So I think most of the functional guys will be thinking that okay, so the architecture will be the technical topic, all these things. Okay, but as okay, so we need to understand the architecture of the technical thing also. Okay, so because we need to know what is happening internally about this SAP, how this SAP is internally working, so how this architecture is built, what is the technology we are using, so all these things we need to understand here. So in this perspective, what we are going to have is we are going to discuss about the two architectures. Okay, one is from ECC and S4HANA. We are going to compare with the same structure, so that will be easy for you to understand. So we are not going more technical on this part because it's not technical oriented. Okay, so we are just going with a layman. Okay, so how the layman can understand this particular architecture, we are going with that particular way. Okay, yes. So let's begin here. Yeah. So what is an architecture here? First of all, okay, so let's see what is the architecture is all about. Okay, so architecture is just a principle of a pattern of a best practice. Okay, so how we are just making a structure inside that, so based on that the SAP will keep on working. Okay, so it's built for just making all the complete system to work on smoothness. Okay, so and it's all about running the business process against their organization. Okay, it's just a skeleton of SAP. Okay, we are just going to see the skeleton of SAP. Okay, for your overview. Okay, so before going to the chart, okay, so I'm just going to explain you in the live hands-on. Okay, so how that particular things I'm just going to explain. So before that, okay, so you can understand okay how this architecture will be. Okay, so you can have an idea about this. Okay, this is how the architecture will be looks like. Okay, just that's a layman understanding. Okay, don't make yourself complicated. Okay, yes, so we have three layers. Okay, you can see this one is a presentation layer, and one is an application layer, and one is a database layer. Okay, this is what the architecture consists of. Okay, so normally the presentation layer, you can see at the top. Okay, the presentation layer, okay, so will be connected with the external system because it is connected with the users. Okay, for an example, we are having a credential, I'm having a username and password. Okay, I'm connecting into my system, so I myself connect into my system. Okay, the first level of contact will be done with this presentation layer. Okay, first layer of connect. Okay, I have the first layer of connect here with the presentation layer. Okay, and the second layer you can able to see this is an application layer where whatever the request I can ask, because I can ask different requests, right? For an example, I can able to send that information into the system, or I can retrieve this information from the system, whatever I can do, because it's all about the data. Okay, how we can process the data using some applicant logic. Okay, so we have some application logic here, so where in this application layer only, so we are having our SAP has been done here. So our SAP logic and application has been installed here. Okay, so we are installing our SAP logic here. So here where, so the SAP application will understand what is the requirement, what we need to give on this one, so it can able to understand both the same. Okay, so it can understand the presentation layer, and also it can understand the database layer as well, because it needs to communicate between both the things, because what information we are getting from here and what is the information we are getting to the database layer, because he needs to pass that information to the database, right? So that also can be done here. Okay, yes, and finally coming to the database layer. So database is very simple, so where we are going to store our particular information here. So we are going to store our particular information is nothing but the hard drive, or to store all our data regarding that. Okay, so once again I'll just repeat, the presentation layer will connect with the external system, so which connects with the user directly. And here in the presentation application layer, where we are connecting, where our SAP is located here, so the application of SAP will process all the data with the communication bit between this both the layers, and it will work on that, and it will come with the database layer. We are going to store that information. Just for your idea, okay, just for your idea, don't get panic on this. Okay, I'll just going to explain you in a very layman language, so you can clearly understand what I'm supposed to say. Okay, yes, yeah, because you don't have any scope on this to create or do something in the architecture. This is only purely for your knowledge. Okay, so if you know something better than the other consultant, okay, then only you can show your value. That is the reason we are just bringing up your outsourcing. Okay, yes, now just go into the system. Okay, let's get into this part. Okay, so I'll just show you the same thing in the system. Okay, so how we can able to do that one. Okay, so for an example regarding this, okay, architecture, okay, how we are going to perform this architecture here. Okay, let's see here, okay, how we can able to perform this architecture. The same layers I just inserted here, so I'll just take a snapshot and I'll just explain. That will be well and good. Okay, so I'll just explain that. Okay, yes, okay, let's take this. Okay, so now we can get an idea. Okay, so now we can work on this. Okay, now we can work on this, how we are getting this particular things are working. Okay, so we are going to see the so the part of ECC and S4HANA, both the things I'm going to show you. Okay, so then only you can feel the difference, because now the trending topic is ECS and S4HANA. At a certain extent, you want to know everything about both the things. Okay, so that is what we are going to have here. So we are going to have the architecture for ECC and S4HANA, both we can compare at one shot, so we can able to see that. Okay, so let's see this particular point here. So coming to this point, okay, so we can see the presentation layer here. Okay, so we have application, we have the database layer, all these layers are available here. Okay, in this particular thing, so what we are going to have is, okay, so we are going to connect this particular point here. Okay, so we are going to connect this particular point here. So how we are connecting, in the sense we are connecting in this angle. I am just marking up, so please keep this particular thing here. So I'm just marking up here. Okay, so I'm just marking up this particular layer here. So I'm just marking up this particular layer here. Okay, so in this particular layer, so you can able to see this one here. Okay, so we are having our system here. So we are having our system here. Okay, so we are having our system here. Okay, so we are connected with our user credentials. For an example, you just think like, so we are connecting a system here. So we are connecting to this direction. Okay, so we are having this particular layer here. Okay, so how it will be happen is, for an example, just think of, okay, so you are asking some information to the system, maybe. Okay, so we are asking, for an example, you are a purchase manager, so belongs to MM, right? You are a purchase manager, you are asking some information to the system. Okay, so first information, for an example, you are asking some last month report. Okay, I need a last month purchase report, you are asking that one. So how the system will go is, okay, the system will go through this presentation layer first. Okay, it will go through the presentation layer first, because this is the first layer who will receive the information from you, and it will convert into a next level, because you cannot directly connect with any other layers here. Okay, so first you are connecting into the presentation layer where it will receive the information here. That is first point. Okay, after the presentation layer receives this particular information, what you will be getting is, so this particular information will be passed to the, okay, so the application layer. Okay, so already we have seen, right, the application layer denotes that the SAP logic, the SAP application is available in this layer. So it will understand what is the actual thing you are asking. Okay, so what is the thing you are going to reveal, that everything is going to understand on this particular point here. So this application layer will understand the requirement, okay, what you need. So that information will be captured, and that information will be passed to the database layer here. Okay, so because the database layer is consists of all the data what we stored here. So we have all the database here. So the database will store all the data what we supposed to need, because now the user needs a data, so we need to fetch the data from the database layer. We don't store any layer, any database, any storage in the different layers here. Only the database layer is responsible for storing it. Okay, yes. So now we can get an understanding, so the data, how it will flows into this one. So in the database layer, it will store all the information. So for your kind information, how this database layer will store that information. So we can able to store the information in this one in a form of tables. Okay, in the form of tables, and each table will have a different fields. For an example, you can have a different fields, field number 1, field number 2, okay, field number 3, like that we can have the fields. Okay, one table, we will have a table. In that table there will be multiple fields where we can able to store that information. For an example, you can see this is a database layer, right? For an example, I'll show you that. Okay, so you can consider this is a table. For an example, this is a small table. You can see here, this table will consist of, for an example, you can see some 4 fields. You can see some 4 fields here. This is a table. For an example, you just understand that we are going to store the information about the vendor. Okay, so we are going to store the information about the vendor. So for vendor, I'm having a table. Okay, for vendor, I'm having a table. In this table, what I'm going to have some field. Okay, for an example, the fields, 4 fields I have. First field I'm going to store the name of the vendor, then here the address of the vendor, here I'm going to store the email of the vendor, here I'm going to enter the phone number of the vendor, like that. Okay, so one table I can have n number of fields. In that fields I can store my information. Very simple. So this is how the database layer will store the information. Okay, if you have a better understanding, because we are going to see that in a live system when we go into the a server part. So there we will be seeing, while we are seeing the configuration, we'll be seeing that. Don't worry about that. Just for your understanding. Okay, now coming into the part. Now, so whatever the information we ask to the presentation layer, that is already conveyed to the database layer now. So now the database layer has an information what we need. So it will pick the data. For an example, this is a table which is having 4 fields in the end. It will pick the field. Okay, this is the field it needs, and this is the field it needs. So it will form the information. It will form the information, and finally what it will do. So again, this information will be passed to the application layer. And again this information will be passed to the presentation layer, and again this information will finally come and reach your screen, because you are connecting to the screen, right? So through which screen you requested the information, the same screen you can able to retrieve the information using this particular form here. So this all things, okay, whatever you seen here, this all things will be happen in microseconds. Okay, it will all happen in microseconds. Okay, it will all happens in a microseconds here. Okay, yes, it seems good, right? So for example, by saying this one, so everyone will say that okay, it's a good architecture. Okay, so everything is working fine, so every information is getting passed very quickly, and also we are getting the result in microseconds. It all seems good. Okay, so it seems good. Okay, so now the question is, okay, so if we are having a good architecture like this, then why we change the architecture for S4HANA? We can use the same architecture for S4HANA, right? Yes, so why we change that one? So is there any gap here? Okay, we have any gaps here, or something related to things we need to add that one? So something we need to know, right? Yes. Okay, there are two things. Okay, one thing is when you launch a new product, definitely the architecture slightly we need to change on all these things. That is perfect. But what is wrong in this ECC, you need to identify that. Then only you can give a solution on S4HANA. Okay, so now what we have seen now, this architecture is all about ECC. Okay, so now what we have seen here is, it is ECC. Okay, we have seen the ECC here. Okay, so now in this ECC, what is the actual gap we have? We need to identify that gap. Then how to resolve this gap in S4HANA, whatever the technology we have introduced in S4HANA, how it is going to resolve that, we can see that. So you will get a clarity. Okay, so let me make this clear. Okay. Okay, so now I'll just make the clarity here. Okay, so I'll just give you some more clarity on that particular part. For an example, I'll just go some more very layman level so you can understand more here. Okay, by this approach you cannot be able to find that. So now you can think that the presentation layer I'm just considering as a first floor. Okay, first floor. An application layer I'm considering as a second floor, and third, a database layer I'm considering as a third floor. 3 floors. You can see you are in the 3-floor building. Okay, you are in the 3-floor building. You are in the ground floor. Okay, you just think like you are in the ground floor because you have the laptop here. So you are connecting to the system. You are in the ground floor. Now you want an information. How you will ask. For example, from the ground floor to first floor, the information should go. And again from first floor to second floor you want to travel, and again from second floor to third floor you want to travel, because in the third floor only you have the data. Very clear, very simple logic. Again, after taking the data, again you want to travel back to the second floor. Okay, again you have to travel back to the first floor, and again you want to travel back to the ground floor to give the data, because in between we don't have any storage or something. Whatever the details we need, we have to go to the same third floor and we have to take it. So what happens now? Okay, so now also you cannot see any difference here, but I will just say the point very clearly. How it will work is very simple. For an example, in this particular system, okay, so you can see any users. Okay, for an example, purchase manager, purchase engineer, or whoever it can be. Okay, everyone will have a pattern. Everyone will have a pattern of work. Everyone will have a pattern of work. Okay, so everyone will have a routine of work. Every day morning a person comes, he will do some work, and afternoon he will do some work, evening he will do some work. That will be 99%, it will be routine, because that is how the manufacturing, that is how the factory will work, right? So every day he will do. Morning he will come, he asks some reports, and evening he will go, before he leaves he will ask some reports or information, like that. So that information mostly it will be common. Daily he will be asking the repeated ones. For an example, you can take a purchase manager. Every day he will be asking last month purchase report. Okay, last month purchase report. For an example, he is asking the report today. So the last month report, always the report is a past data. So it will never change. The past data report never changes. If you are asking report today, so the data will be same. If you are asking the report next month, the data will be same. If you are asking on the next year also, the data will be same because the data will not change. So instead of changing the data, every day what system is going to do, this ECC is going is, every day it is going to the third floor and taking the same data. Okay, you need to understand that. Okay, so every day the system is going to the third floor and taking the same data and giving to the ground floor because he is asking the same data. Maybe one day there will be a difference. Just understand the logic. Asking the 30 days. Today I'm asking the last 30 days report in the sense. Okay, so today it will be dynamic. So I'm asking tomorrow the last data means only one day has been added. For just having one day of additional data, I want to travel this all 3 floors and again. Okay, so that seems unproductive, right? That seems unproductive. For an example, one user is fine. If you have 2000 to 3000 users for one company, so how it can be done? Okay, how it can be done? Okay, so the system will becomes from microseconds to minutes and minutes to hours, right? Normally, because everyone is using this one, so the system unwantedly, unnecessarily, it will be traveling to 3 folds or continuously. So the system will lose its performance. This is what happened in ECC. So this is what we need to cover. Okay, this is what happened in ECC. This is what we need to cover. Okay, how we can cover is very simple. Okay, in S4 HANA, we are going to introduce a technology to nullify this particular problem. How to solve this problem? Because this is directly impacting my performance. Right? So how I can able to solve this? Okay, so based on that only I can move forward. So in S4 HANA, this was taken into consideration. So and it was given a very beautiful solution. What we are going to have is here. Okay, so I'm just using the same architecture. Okay, I'm just using the same architecture for S4 HANA also. How it will be changing, I can show you in the same diagram. That will be very easy for you to understand. Okay, now our ultimate headache is so how we can able to reduce this travel. Okay, how we can reduce this travel, because we cannot change the architecture. Okay, so it is already ECC is running well. So anyway, we are going to bring everyone to S4 HANA. That is clear. But how it was suffered, okay, how the people suffered, okay, why we brought this new technology, we need to give an understanding. Then only the people. So one point is 60% of people are still using ECC. If you don't have any convincing factor, the people will not they will not convert. Okay, that's a factor, because these all parts will come under the consultant point of view. Okay, because they will all push the consultants to try them to convince. Because if we want to convince them, so we want a valid point. So this is a very, very valid point. So to bring them to S4 HANA, so we have to explain them very clearly. Now coming to S4 HANA, so how we are going to manage this particular point is, okay, so we are going to introduce a technology here. So what is the technology is, for an example, so we don't have any access in between the layer, right? So you have only this database layer. Only this database layer where you can able to store that information. You don't have any in between layer to have this one. So what we can do? Okay, so we need to insert some layers in between or something we have to do, then only we can able to resolve this, or else unproductive efficiency of the system will go. So completely we will be working on this unproductive work. Right, so how to manage this one? So we can see is, okay, in S4 HANA we have done one thing. Okay, I'll just explain that. Okay, what we have done is, for an example, okay, so in between this presentation layer and application layer, okay, so between this presentation and application layer, we have inserted one more layer here. Okay, so we have inserted one more layer here. Okay, so we have inserted one more layer here. Okay, so we have inserted one layer between the presentation layer and the application layer. Okay, this is the layer we have inserted, and this layer, okay, so we call it as, okay, so IMD. Okay, this layer is called as IMD. Okay, what is this IMD stands for? Okay, so why we are inserting in between that? Okay, IMD stands for, it is in memory database. Okay, it is the key technology we are using in S4 HANA to arrest all the gaps what we had earlier in ECC. Okay, IMD is a new technology which was introduced. Okay, so not in it is not newer technology, but it is new to ERP. We don't have any technology for other ERPs. We have just introduced in SAP for the first time. Okay, so IMD technology in memory database. Okay, what this particular thing will do is, I'll just give an example because it is already been used in Google for a very long period. So Google is having an AI. So how many of you has gone through that one? I'm not sure. Okay, just check this one. You will be getting recall. You are having a mobile phone, you are just searching in Google something related to a TV or something. Okay, whatever the electronic goods you are searching, then after some time you just gone off. Okay, again you are just logging in. So wherever you go, you can able to see that related TV information in that one. So why? Because the Google is understanding your search pattern. Okay, it is identifying that your search pattern. So these all the searching you are done. So this is all the things you are so interested of. So only that related information it will keep on pop-upping you. So that will gives you more information, and also the system will work on artificial intelligence. Okay, this is what the technology we are going to use here. Also, what we are going to do is, we are going to place a snapshotter here. For an example, I'm going to place a snapshotter here. Okay, so here I'm going to place a snapshotter in this particular thing. What is the snapshotter is? What the snapshotter will do is very simple. So whenever there is a travel, because we are traveling from here, right? So the information we are passing from the presentation layer to application layer, an application layer to database layer. We are traveling through this way. This is the main road. For an example, you can take this is the road where we are traveling to the database layer. Again we are traveling back to this on the same road. So what we can do is, okay, this is the traveling path. So I placed my snapshotter in between that. This is the IMD. I'm just placing that. What this IMD will do is very simple. For an example, so whenever the user, okay, it will work on individual users. Okay, individual users. Okay, every users will have a individual patterns. Okay, so every user it will work on this one. Every user it will keep on recording the patterns. For an example, whatever the transaction he does, it will capture it. For example, he is asking a report, he is doing a transaction, whatever he does regularly, it will capture the pattern. And what he will do is, it will finally conclude a pattern of this users. Each and every user it will find the cap. Okay, so this is the regular thing he is asking. This is the regular thing he is asking. Every day he is asking this information. Every 3 days he is asking this information. Every week he is asking this information, like that. So we can get a conclusion with this particular IMD technology. Okay, and finally what we will be having is, okay, this snapshotter will find the search pattern. Now if I'm asking the information again, I'm asking the same information again, what will happen is the loop will close. You can see the loop will close here itself. You can see the loop will close here itself, and it will go to the system. Why? Because you have the data here, you have the temporary data here. Already it is based on your search pattern. It has stored that information which you regularly ask. That information is already there. So you don't need to waste your time to go till the database layer and take the data. You have the temporary memory here. Okay, if you have any dynamic memory, for an example, if you have any dynamic memory, only the dynamic memory you can able to bring it from here. So maybe 1 day or 1 day. So maximum 1 day is the dynamic period. Maybe you are asking that one means I am storing that last 30 days report, means I will store that information in the last day. But you are asking a report till today, means only that today's transaction is dynamic. So that also will be taken from here. That is very easy. Taking that is very easy. Even the snapshotter will pick that very easily. Okay, so maximum temporary information you are going to stay. Why I'm just mentioning as a temporary information, right? Why? Because anytime the pattern of a user can change, right? Anytime he can change the pattern. So we don't want to, we cannot identify, right, when he will change the pattern. So we will be always temporary here. It's like a temporary catchy memory. Okay, so it will keep on dynamically changed based on the user trending. So if the new trend has been came, it will delete all the previous thing and it will go for the new trending. It will be 100%, it will be dynamic. Okay, so based on this, what happened is, almost you can see, okay, 3 into 3, almost 6 times. Okay, 6 times I am giving a more performance than so ECC here. Okay, 6 times. Okay, 6 times for one particular thing means, see the how many percent, it's almost like 600 times. Okay, so we are giving high performance than the ECC. You can understand this one. So unnecessarily I'm not loading the system here where I'm just having my technology to be improved here. So from ECC to S4HANA, I just improved myself. So I'm just stopping unnecessary productive work here. So everything is very useful. So I'm using the system only for the useful matters here. So my system will always be ready to give a high performance. So you will get the data and everything without any lagging. You will be getting the data. Okay, so now the $1,000,000 question is very simple. How you are going to store that information in between this? So already we have seen only in the database layer we have the provision to give that. Okay, how you are going to store that information here in this IMD? Okay, just orally we can see there is a layer and all other things, all these things are fine. But how it is practically possible? Yes, it is possible here. So the practicality is very simple. So how I'm going to have is, so in this okay, so in this IMD technology I'm going to use a thing called a RAM. Okay, so I'm going to use the RAM to store that memory. Okay, I'm going to use the RAM to store this memory. Okay, so again the people will ask, okay, you will be having a doubt. Okay, people normally know about the RAM, right? Every mobile phone, everything. So they will say that the RAM is only for increasing a speed. I agree. So we are going to give some high performance in S4HANA. That is fine. So using this RAM, definitely the speed will be more high. So that is fine. Then how we can able to store the information? It is not a place for storing information, right? RAM is not for the storage, like that the people will say, right? So as for your kind information, we have a gray area of a RAM. We have a gray area of a RAM, so where you can able to store some information as well. It's not like a database layer. Okay, not like a database layer, because in the database layer you have the 100% data storage possible. Here we have 100% data storage possible. That is clear because it is dedicated for a database storage. But in RAM, so at least we can store some 10% of data. Okay, so at least we can try to store some 10% of data. That is fine because it's a temporary memory. It's a temporary memory, right? We are not going to store this for a very long period, and also we are going to store all the information here. Only we are going to store the minimum, very minimal information that is also based on the search pattern of the user. We are going to have that. So otherwise we don't have anything here. So it will be very clear that we are going to have that here. Okay, yes. So this is the technology we are using in this particular purpose here. So we are going to have this particular thing. This IMD is a new technology here. This using this technology only we are declaring that. So SAP S4HANA can give a very high performance for the particular users. Okay, yes. So this is for your kind information. Why we compared with ECC and S4HANA is that is a trending topic here, because most of the consultants will know about the reference already. What are the differences we have seen? So that all differences everyone will say, because that all things they all know. So how you can specify yourself identically? Okay, so for example, you want to make yourself unique in interview or somewhere, you have to know something better than someone. For an example, this kind of architecture no one will try, so no one will compare with ECC and S4HANA. So you have the knowledge now. So with this you can showcase yourself as a unique product. Of course you are a product in the market, right? So you need to showcase yourself for this particular product. So this will show you the value, how much you have an interest on SAP. You are learning this much of things from outside the box. Okay, this is very important because this will help us to convince the customers to bring them into the next level. So that is what we are having here. Okay, yes. Okay, I hope it is clear. Yes. Okay, fine. So now we are concluding this architecture here. Okay, so I hope again you can just see here. So the same thing what we have seen. Okay, so the architecture between the ECC and S4HANA. I hope it is clear. Okay, so it is very layman structure we have seen. We've not gone into any technical form here. Okay, yes. Okay, so now ultimately what is the next thing what we are going to have is, okay, so the next topic we are going to enter into the SAP navigation part. Okay, so SAP navigation part we are going to enter into that one. So till now we have seen only the theory part regarding how this SAP introduction, overview, comparison and architecture, all those things. We will have some clear idea about that one. So now we are in somewhat comfort zone. So that is the ultimate aim of this particular thing. Okay, so I just want to make you into a comfort zone so you can understand, you can feel that SAP, how it can be done. So then we are entering into the system. Okay, from the next thing, okay, from the next topic, okay, so what we are going to have from the next session, we will be entering into the system. We are going to know about the servers, okay, how it is can be navigated. What are the tools we can use for operating SAP? What are the different type of servers we have? Why we need these servers? Okay, how to connect into the system? Okay, so how to operate that SAP, okay, what are the options we have, how user friendly is the system is, all this angle we are going to see in the system. Okay, all the angles we are going to see in the system. Then what we are going to do, we are going to start into the core part of MM. We are entering into the core part, the heart of MM. So we are going to start the topics and all other things. Okay, so let's hope this particular architecture is very clear for you. Okay, so next session we'll be seeing the SAP navigation. See you there. Okay, so thank you so much.